Welcome to Pyrography Made Easy. I'm Brenda. In this episode, I am going to be doing a handset comparison. I'm not comparing burners, just the handsets. All of these handsets are compatible with my Colwood burner, with the exception of the Goodcrafter. I'm including that one because I own it, and because there are a lot of similar ones on Amazon. My goal with this video is to provide information about the handsets, and that might help you decide which brand of burner you might be interested in purchasing. But keep in mind, this is very subjective. It's mostly just my opinion. Well, let's get started. Terminology. This is a pyrography handset. It's also referred to as a pin. The top portion of it is called a pin tip. It is also called a pin nib. So pin tip and pin nib mean the same thing. This particular handset has a cork grip. This area is also referred to as a heat shield or just grip. Overview. These are the 5 handsets I will be comparing: Burnmaster, Colwood, Goodcrafter, Optima, and Razertip. The Burnmaster has a very thick handset that is triangular in shape. The handset gradually tapers down in size as you reach the end of it where a male plug-in is found. If desired, you could remove the black rubber grip, but it is a very snug fit. It has 2 prongs that hold the pin tips in place with set screws. The pin tips have very thick lead wires. That makes them easy to handle. Colwood has a slender tapered black plastic body with a cork heat shield. This particular handset has a fixed pin tip, so the tip cannot be removed, whereas this handset has a replaceable tip. The 2 handsets are almost identical, but the replaceable tip handset on the right has a lip that allows you to grab that tip and remove it. Both styles of handsets have male plug-ins. The cork heat shield on the handsets can be removed, so if it wears thin or you want a different style, you can replace it. And Colwood does sell replacements on their website. The replaceable tips have 2 prongs that slide down into the handset. The large size of these pin tips make them one of the easiest to handle. The Goodcrafter has a large, contoured, foam-covered handset. The foam provides a very cushioned and quite comfortable grip. The power cord is permanently attached to the handset, but it can be removed from the burner. There are 2 metal prongs that secure pin tips with set screws. The pin tips have thin wire leads. Optima's handset is very thin and the body is straight. There is a very thick foam heat shield on it. The handset has a male plug-in. Optima's foam grip appears to be glued in place. I cannot get it to budge. All of Optima's handsets come with fixed tips. They do not sell a replaceable tip model. Razertip has a black plastic body that has side vents. The handle flares out a bit towards the end of it. There is a foam heat guard on it. This is a replaceable tip style of handset. Razertip's handsets have female plug-ins. For it to work with my Colwood burner, I have to use an adapter, as shown in the video. The foam grip can be removed, and Razertip does sell replacements in several different styles. There are 2 metal prongs with set screws that hold and secure the wire pin tips. The pin tips are small with fairly short wire leads on them. All of the handsets are resting on a ledge so you can visually compare their sizes. Here are the different styles of replaceable pin tips for comparison. From left to right, we have Burnmaster, Goodcrafter, Razertip, and Colwood. Scoring system. In some chapters, the handsets will receive a score between 1 and 5. 1 is the best, 5 is the worst. Weight. I weighed all of the handsets starting with the Burnmaster. I put a filter on the screen to reduce that ultra-bright glare from the scale. I personally prefer a handset that is lightweight and resembles a pencil. The larger and heavier handsets aren't as appealing to me. Keep that in mind when I assign scores to these handsets. I have to include the Razertip adapter in the total weight since the handset will not work on my burner without it. Weighing a hefty 1.9 ounces, the Burnmaster handset comes in last place. The Goodcrafter handset weighs 1.4 ounces and came in fourth. Razertip weighed 1.16 ounces, including the adapter. It's third. Colwood weighs 0.85 ounces and came in second. And the winner is Optima, weighing 0.71 ounces. Length. I measured how long the handsets are. I first measured the point where the pin tip connects all the way to the end of the handset. Then I measured just the handset without the pin tip area. This was done for two reasons. One, those with larger hands might prefer a longer handset. And two, the distance between the handset and the metal pin tip receptacle gives you an idea of how far away the handset would be from the board. If the handset is too far from the board, it can feel a bit awkward, but given enough time, you do get used to it. I consider this chapter to be informational, so I will not be assigning a score. From the tip of the metal prongs to the bottom of the handset, Burnmaster measured 4 7/8 inches long. Just the handset was 4 1/2 inches long, and the metal prongs were 3/8 inches long. Colwood had an overall length of 4 5/8 inches. Just the handset is 4 1/2 inches. The receptacle area was 1/8 of an inch. Goodcrafter's overall length was 5 1/8 inch long. Just the handset is 4 inches long, and the pin tip area is 1 1/8 inch long. Optima's overall length is 4 3/4 inches long. Just the handset is 4 5/8 inches, leaving 1/8 inch for the receptacle area. Razertip has an overall length of 5 5/8 inches long. Just the handset is 4 5/8 of an inch long. The pin tip area is 1 inch long. Circumference. Next up, I'm measuring the circumference of the heat shields on the handsets. I wrap a piece of ribbon around the heat shield, mark the point of contact with an ink pen, and then measure the results. I prefer a thinner handset because it reminds me of a pencil. For me, that is a desirable trait, and is the basis for the scores I assigned the handsets. Colwood was the smallest, so it scores a 1 or first place. It was followed by Optima, Razertip, and Burnmaster. Goodcrafter was the largest, and it came in last. If we add the scores from this round to the previous round, Colwood and Optima are in first place, Razertip is in second place, Burnmaster and Goodcrafter are tied for last. Next, I measured the handsets again, but this time I measured just below the heat shield. I wanted to know what the difference was between the heat shield and the handset. Burnmaster and Colwood had the smallest difference of 1/2 inch, tying for first place. Burnmaster's difference was mostly due to the tapered shape of the handset versus having a thicker heat shield. Goodcrafter came in second, and Razertip placed third. Optima came in last with a 1 inch difference between the handset and the heat shield. Add the current scores to the previous totals, put Colwood in first place, Optima is in second, Razertip third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter is last. Comfort. The Burnmaster feels okay to me. Of all of the handsets, it is the firmest feeling. My biggest complaint with the Burnmaster is the weight. I have to grip it with a lot more pressure than I would a lighter weight handset. The Colwood's smaller shape makes it feel closest to a pencil, which I like. For me, the smaller size and lighter weight makes it easier to control. Despite how thin the cork heat set is, it blocks the heat really well. Surprisingly, the Goodcrafter is extremely comfortable. I like the contoured foam grip. It seems to fit my fingertips really well. The thick padding provides a well-cushioned grip. The downside is that the weight isn't evenly distributed. The back end of it is heavier than the front, so I have to exert more effort to control it properly. The Optima handset feels okay. The foam heat shield provides a cushioned grip, but I just wish that it was longer. Also, I dislike how thick the heat shield is in comparison to the handset. There's too much of a difference, and for some reason that bugs me. The Razertip feels very comfortable without the adapter. With the adapter, it's unbalanced. The bulk of the weight is at the back end of the handset. I have to grip a lot harder to keep the pin tip in contact with the board. In terms of comfort, I'm putting Colwood first, Goodcrafter second, Burnmaster third, Optima fourth, and Razertip last. If we add the current score with the previous total, Colwood is in first place, Optima second, Goodcrafter and Razertip are tied for third, and Burnmaster is last. Exchanging pin tips. Fixed tip handsets are the easiest and quickest to exchange. Just grab the desired handset and plug it into the power cord. To remove, firmly pull the handset from the power cord. Colwood, Optima, and Razertip all offer fixed tip handsets. They get 1 point each. Burnmaster and Goodcrafter do not, so they get 2 points. When added in with the previous totals, Colwood is first place, Optima second, Razertip third, Goodcrafter fourth, and Burnmaster last. Of the replaceable tip styles, Colwood has the easiest. Just pull the pin tip from the handset and push in the new one. It's almost as easy as the fixed tips, except the pin tips tend to be very snug and sometimes you have to use a puller tool. Next easiest is the Burnmaster. For this, you just loosen the set screws and pull out the pin tip. Then slide the wire leads of the new pin tip into the receptacle and tighten up the set screws. Of this style of pin tip, the large wire leads makes the Burnmaster tips the easiest to work with. The Goodcrafter works in a very similar manner to the Burnmaster. The difference is that the set screws are on the side and the lead wires are much thinner. I have a tendency to really tighten the set screws, so the lead wires get bent. This makes it a bit more challenging to align the lead wires with the opening on the handset. Exchanging pin tips on the Razertip handset is the most difficult of the replacement tip styles that I have used. The premise is the same as the Burnmaster and Goodcrafter, but the Razertip doesn't have an opening to receive the wire leads. Instead, there are these small metal bumps adjacent to the set screw thread opening. The wire lead must fit between these bumps and the set screw. With my old eyes, I cannot do this without using reading glasses. Given how long Razertip has been in business, you would think that they would have a better system by now. With replaceable tips, the Colwood handset was easiest, so it scores a 1. Burnmaster was second, Goodcrafter third, Razertip fourth, and Optima is last since they do not have a replaceable tip system. Adding these scores to the previous total makes Colwood in first place, Optima second, and Burnmaster, Goodcrafter, and Razertip tied for third. Holder fit. The top of my Colwood burner has metal prongs to hold the handsets. Of course, a Colwood handset fits within those prongs. The Optima handset fits, but it is very loose. I actually had the handset fall out once and hit the floor. Now I don't use it with the Optima. Razertip fits, but it is very snug. That is better than being loose. Burnmaster doesn't begin to fit, but it is heavy enough to safely sit on top of the burner. Goodcrafter doesn't fit, and I don't trust it to sit on the top of the burner. Colwood is first, Razertip second, Optima third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter fifth. Adding these scores to the previous total puts Colwood first, Optima second, Razertip third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter last. Compatibility. Since Razertip only has fixed tip systems, it's not compatible with any other pin tip. Colwood isn't much better. You can place a pin tip in there, but there's no way to tighten and secure it, so Colwood is not compatible with any other pin tip style. Razertip cannot fit the thick wire leads of either the Burnmaster or the Colwood pin tips. The problem is the short length of the set screw. Maybe a longer screw would allow it to accept the pin tips. Now Razertip will accept any pin tip that has a thin wire lead on it. This includes all of the wire tips that came with the Goodcrafter. I will mention that this really long pin tip flexes a little bit when I touch it to the board. I haven't noticed this with the shorter pin tips. The openings on the Goodcrafter handset are too narrow to fit either Burnmaster or Colwood's pin tips, but they easily fit Razertip nibs. Burnmaster is hands down the most compatible handset of all the ones I've tried. It accepts Colwood pin tips. It does look a bit funny with one equipped in it, but it works. Razertip nibs easily fit into the handset, and they work. So do any of the Goodcrafter pin tips. The only thing that I will mention is that the shorter pin tips put the handset a lot closer to the board than what I am used to. This isn't a good or a bad thing, instead it's just an observation. Burnmaster was the undisputed winner in this round and got a 1. Goodcrafter and Razertip came in second, and Colwood and Optima came in third. Adding these scores to the previous total puts Colwood in first place, Optima in second, Razertip third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter last. Warm-up time. For this test, I am trying to get the heat set on my burner so that the handset produces a color that is extremely similar to the dark vertical band. A red arrow is pointing to the band. Once I have a match, I shut down the burner and let it sit for 30 minutes. I want to make sure everything is cold. After 30 minutes, I turn the burner back on and time how long it takes for the pin tip to get hot enough to replicate the color. Afterwards, I noted the time and heat setting for that handset. Then I repeated this process with every handset I was testing. I used the heavy-duty side of my Colwood burner with all of the handsets except the Goodcrafter. The only other thing I want to mention is I had a little difficulty with the Razertip. For some reason, I have a hard time properly holding the handset so that the entire pin tip makes contact with the board. Here are the results. The first column is the approximate heat setting that I used. The second column, how long it took in seconds. Optima was the best, so it's first. Razertip and Burnmaster tied for second. Colwood third. and Goodcrafter last. Adding these scores to the previous total puts Colwood first, Optima second, Razertip third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter last. 25 minutes burning hot. In this chapter, I am testing how well the handsets do when burning at a high heat. I used the heavy-duty side of my burner and adjusted the heat for each handset to produce a very dark burn result. The heat was set high enough that if the pen tip was not in contact with the board, it would start to glow red within 5 to 6 seconds. Then I burned for 25 minutes straight. After 25 minutes, the Colwood felt slightly warm. The heat was so slight that I wasn't sure if it was the handset warming up or my hand warming up the handset. The power cord that the handset plugged into had a noticeable warm feeling to it. The foam covering on the Goodcrafter felt slightly warm. The heat from the handset was less than what I felt with the Colwood. And that was the same thing that I experienced with the power cord to the handset. There was a very slight warm feeling, but it was much cooler than what the Colwood was. Optima's handset did not impress me during the high heat test. After just 2.5 minutes, the black plastic portion of the handset felt warm. The blue foam heat shield felt fine. After 10 minutes, the black plastic was feeling very warm. This was really noticeable where the handset rested on my hand. I circled the area I'm referring to. Near the end of the 25 minutes, the black portion of the handset was getting very warm. I was glad when the session was over. When I checked the power cord to the handset, it felt slightly warm. The Razertip performed very well on the high heat test. You could feel a very slight heat coming out from the ventilation slots on the side of the handset, but that was the only thing I noticed. After 25 minutes, I checked the power adapter and it felt slightly warm, but I didn't notice any heat from the power cord. By the time I got the Burnmaster handset, I had finished the other project I was using. That is why you see a different project for the Burnmaster. After 16 minutes of burning at a high heat, the handset felt slightly warm. Before the 25 minutes was up, that warmth got a little bit more pronounced, but it was never uncomfortable or extremely noticeable. The power cord to the handset felt fine. Razertip came in first, Goodcrafter second, Colwood third, Burnmaster fourth, and Optima last. Adding these scores to the previous total puts Colwood in first place, Razertip in second, Optima in third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter last. Tonal range. In this chapter, I am checking the tonal range the pen tips can produce. I want to see if they can create a range of colors on boards and other mediums that vary in hardness. I'm starting with Pacific albus. This is a softwood. It has a Janka rating of 292. For comparison, basswood has a rating of 410, and maple is over 1400. The Janka rating gives me an idea of the heat requirements. A higher Janka rating means I need to use a higher heat setting on my burner. All of the handsets did just fine for the first tonal range test. Next up is birch plywood. I'm not sure if white or yellow birch was used, but I'm going to assume it's yellow. Yellow birch has a Janka rating of 1200, so it is a lot harder than the Pacific albus, but it is not as hard as maple. The only thing this tells me is that I will need to use a higher heat setting on my burner than what I did with the Pacific albus. One of the things that all of my tonal ranges share is that they were created at a set heat. For example, with the Optima, I had the heat set at 3.1. I did not alter the heat setting at any time while burning with the Optima on the birch plywood. All of the handsets did well on birch plywood. Now I'm testing the handsets on maple. Maple is a hardwood with a Janka rating of 1450. I mentioned before that I don't change the heat setting on my burner during these tests. Instead, I reburn and alter my hand speed to get different tonal values. My hand speed is a touch faster when I want a lighter tonal value, plus I don't do a lot of reburning. As the color gets darker, the slower I move my hand. Also, the more reburning I do. For the really dark burn at the end, I am moving my hand very slowly. For some reason, I have a difficult time using this Razertip nib. I just can't seem to find the correct way to hold it so that the entire pin tip is in touch with the board. Once again, all of the handsets performed just fine. Next up is leather. Leather is challenging because it can be difficult to get lighter colors. Or maybe a better way of stating things is that it can be difficult to find a heat setting low enough to achieve lighter colored burn results. Burn at too high of a heat and the surface of the leather can tear. You'll get better results burning at a lower heat and reburning as needed versus burning at a high heat and trying to get things done quicker. This is true for any surface you're burning on. All of the handsets performed well on leather. I should have used a lighter heat setting with the Optima so there would be more colors in the light to medium tan range. The last material I'm going to test is watercolor paper. Depending on the brand and weight of the paper, it can require a higher heat than plywood does. I'm not sure of the brand that I'm using, but I do know it's 140-pound paper. Paper can be challenging to burn on because it's not very thick, so there isn't a lot of leeway to fix mistakes. Also, you have to be careful with how hot you're burning because you can catch the paper on fire or char it to the point where it flakes off and leaves a hole. On the flip side, artwork created on acid-free watercolor paper won't fade. The paper is generally cheaper than wood, and if nothing else, it makes a great medium to practice on. If you're going to burn on watercolor paper, make sure you put it on a heat-safe surface because the heat will transfer through the paper and char the underlying surface. All of the handsets did just fine on watercolor paper. Let's revisit maple. Maple required the highest heat setting for all the handsets on the tonal test. My Colwood has a heat setting range of 0 to 10. The Goodcrafter has a range of 250 to 750. Each handset required a different heat setting. A lower heat setting is more desirable because the handset stays cooler. Plus, a lower heat setting gives you more working room if you do require more heat output. So based on this, here are the results. Optima required the lowest heat, so it scored a 1, followed by Colwood, Razertip, Burnmaster, and Goodcrafter was last. We add these scores to the previous. Colwood is in first place. Optima and Razertip are tied for second, Burnmaster third, and Goodcrafter is last. Metal quality. I needed a gradient block of color for another video. Since I'm not creating artwork, I can really concentrate on how the metal feels as it's burning on the wood. I was very disappointed with the Burnmaster pen tips. The first one that I tried was so rough it scratched the board that I was testing it out on. I know that every manufacturer can have an off pen tip, but every single one of Burnmaster's non-skew pen tips felt rough to my fingers. I had to use a Dremel equipped with a metal polishing bit and smooth out the pen tips so that they would be usable. These expensive pen tips felt worse than some really cheap wire tips you could buy on Amazon. The older Colwood pin tips I have feel smooth and they glide nicely over the boards. I have noticed a definite decrease in quality with their newer pin tips. They just aren't as smooth. I know this is tough to see, but on the left is a new Colwood pin tip. On the right is an old one I own. The new one isn't as smooth looking. I can feel a difference in how they glide over the wood. The new one, which I'm using right now, doesn't glide as well. I will be using my newer Colwood pin tip for judging, since that is most likely the quality Colwood is currently selling. Goodcrafter's set of pin tips aren't bad. Some are better than others. Given the inexpensive price for a set of them, I wasn't expecting superior quality. It could be that using a Dremel equipped with a polishing bit would improve them. If it doesn't, or if it makes them worse, you're not out much money. Optima's pin tip is hands down the smoothest burning tip I have ever experienced. Their standard pin tip feels just as good or maybe even better than one of my older Colwood pin tips that has been polished. This pin tip just glides effortlessly over the surface of the board. I am really impressed with the metal on this pin tip. Ignoring the fact I have a difficult time holding Razertip's handset correctly with this pin tip, the metal glides easily over the board. It doesn't feel rough, it's not catching on anything. It's a very decent pin tip. Optima hands down won this round. Razertip is second, Colwood third, Goodcrafter fourth, and Burnmaster fifth. Adding these scores to the previous total puts Colwood in first place, Optima second, Razertip third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter last. Cost. As of November 2023, Colwood's fixed tip handsets cost between $17 and $27 depending on the pin tip style. Some of the tip styles have options like polishing, which adds another $3.50 to the price, or bending for $4.45. If you plan to burn on leather, I would get the polishing. Otherwise, I think these options are overpriced and a ripoff. There are also options to switch out the cork grip with a heat shield or even a foam grip. Personally, I would stick with the cork. Colwood does offer handset packages. I didn't bother to check to see if they save you any money. Optima charges $20 for a regular handset and $30 for a handset with specialty pin tips. They don't charge extra for bending. Instead, you just select the style that you would prefer, bent or straight. Optima does not offer handset packages. Razertip's fixed tip handsets sell for between $31.80 and $36.25. Razertip is located in Canada, so the prices are most likely Canadian dollar. There are no options for bending or polishing. Razertip does sell handset packages. I did not check to see if the packages would save you any money. I put Optima first because most of their pin tips are $20 and you don't have to pay extra for bending. Colwood is second, Razertip third, Burnmaster and Goodcrafter last because they don't offer fixed tips. Add these scores to the previous totals puts Colwood first, Optima second, Razertip third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter last. A Burnmaster handset costs just under $40. The pin tips cost between $9.95 and $15.95 depending on the style. Burnmaster does offer package sets that lowers the cost, but I'm going to keep things simple and just compare buying tips individually. Burnmaster does have the option of making your own pin tips. Colwood's basic cork grip handset is $20. You can opt to get a foam grip instead of cork, and you can opt to get a heat shield. I have no idea what that is. Personally, I like the cork. Colwood's replaceable style pin tips cost between $10 and $22. Depending on the style of pin tip, you can opt to have it professionally polished for an additional $350 or have the tip bent for an additional $450. Colwood also has an option for making your own custom pin tip. They also sell pin tip sets. There is a handset available on Amazon that looks identical to my Goodcrafter handset. It cost $13.99. I did not buy one to see if it would actually fit the Goodcrafter machine, but I would be extremely surprised if it didn't. The Goodcrafter machine comes standard with a set of 20 pin tips. There are replacement sets available that generally have 23 pin tips in them. These sets can be purchased for $10.99. That makes the cost of each pin tip just 48 cents. And of course, you can always buy some nichrome wire and make your own. Just make sure that the temperature rating is suitable for your burner. Razertip's replaceable tip handset costs $36.25. The pin tips vary in price between $7.85 and $8.45. They do not offer bending or polishing. Razertip does sell wire so that you can make your own custom pin tips, and there are numerous pin tip sets available that makes the cost per pin tip cheaper. Goodcrafter easily won this round. Razertip second, Burnmaster third, Colwood fourth, and Optima last since they don't do replacement pin tips. Adding these scores to the previous total puts Colwood first, Optima and Razertip second, Goodcrafter and Burnmaster are tied for third. Variety. Are you a woodcarver who creates things like birds, fish, or duck decoys? Then having a variety of pin tips and pin tip sizes can be very important. Are you a pyrography artist who works with flat boards like I do? Then having a large variety of pin tips isn't as important to you. I know I do not care how many different varieties of fish scale tip nibs there are, or what sizes are available for those tips. I went through each manufacturer's website and counted how many different pin tips were available. I will tell you right now that Razertip has a lot more than any other manufacturer. After a bit, I quit counting the number of pin tip styles and sizes that they had. I cannot tell you what pin tips carvers find essential, but I do have a video that shares the pin tips I find essential. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. Razertip hands down won this round. I quit counting at 83, Colwood second, Optima and Goodcrafter third, and Burnmaster fourth. Adding these scores to the previous total puts Colwood first, Razertip second, Optima third, Goodcrafter fourth, and Burnmaster last. Warranty. Next, I went through everyone's warranty info. Burnmaster has a 1-year warranty on their handset, and apparently no warranty on the pin tips, at least nothing that I could find. Colwood had a very easy to find, straightforward warranty on 90 days for either style of handset, so that would be the fixed tip and the replaceable tip, and 90 days on their pin tips. I first checked Goodcrafter's Amazon listing and found nothing. Then I checked their online user manual. It gives the warranty information, but it's not very straightforward. If you return the warranty card, then you get 1 month of repair service. I guess that applies to everything. At the bottom, it says there is a 1-year warranty, but you have to pay the shipping. Become a member and get 6 months extended warranty. I am really unsure what their warranty covers and how long it lasts. Optima's warranty info was a pain in the butt to find. Eventually, I did find it. The warranty states that the handset carries a limited lifetime warranty and that the pin tips are not under any warranty. Razertip has a 1-year warranty on all styles of handsets and a 90-day warranty on pin tips. Their warranty is unconditional. Even if you drop your pin and break the tip, it is covered. Optima is first with their lifetime limited warranty on the handset. Burnmaster and Razertip are second with a 1-year warranty. Colwood is third with 90 days, and Goodcrafter is last with 30 days warranty on the handset. Adding those scores to the previous total puts Colwood first, Razertip second, Optima third, Burnmaster fourth, and Goodcrafter last. As for the pin tips, Colwood and Razertip tied for first with 90 days, Goodcrafter second with 30 days, Optima and Burnmaster last as they don't offer a warranty on their tips. Adding these scores to the previous total puts Colwood first, Razertip second, Optima third, Burnmaster and Goodcrafter are tied for last. Storage. This is an FYI chapter, so no points will be awarded. I like to store my handsets in a repurposed candle container. It keeps them upright and easily accessible. With my Colwood pin tips, I have a custom pin tip holder that Todd made me. I do have a video that explains how to create this, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. With the Burnmaster pin tips, I inserted them into a piece of foam I kept from some package. I did the same thing with the Razertip and Goodcrafter pin tips. The Goodcrafter and Razertip pin tips can fit into a shallow box, and that makes it handy for portable storage. If you use a much deeper box, then the Goodcrafter pin tips can fit inside for portable storage. Final thoughts and pros and cons. Burnmaster's handset ended up with a total score of 52. It tied Goodcrafter for last place. That said, it does not mean that this is a bad handset. Instead, it means that it has little resemblance to a pencil. The weight of the handset took me quite a bit to get used to. It's something I still don't really care for, but I do like the handset. I was not impressed with their pin tips. There were too many that I had to fix, and given the price, I shouldn't have had to fix any of them. On a side note, a burner costs between $240 and $400. It includes a set of pin tips regardless of the model. They do have international models available that run on 220 volts. I think this handset would be great for people who have larger hands or have gripping issues. Burnmaster Pros. It's very compatible. It accepts all brands of pin tips that I tested. It has a nicely tapered body. It has a balanced weight distribution on the handset. The pin tips are large and easy to handle. You can make custom pin tips. The handset remained cool even when burning at a high heat. The handsets come with a 1-year warranty. The cons. Most of the pin tips I used were poor quality. I had to fix them. I didn't care for how heavy the handset is. They do not sell a fixed tip style of handset. There is no warranty on the pin tips. Colwood ended up with a total score of 34 points. This put it in first place, which just means this is the handset that reminds me most of a pencil. I like my older pin tips, but it does appear that the metal quality has decreased over the years. Colwood's pin tip options, like bending, cost way too much money. I think they're a ripoff. Colwood does offer a good selection of pin tip styles, and many of them are very suitable for flat work. Colwood burners cost between $80 and $425, depending on the model and options. Not all of them come with handsets. Colwood does sell models for international use. Despite Colwood's decrease in nib quality, I still think Colwood handsets are great. They feel comfortable, the weight is balanced, I really like their cork shields, they're comfortable and provide great heat insulation. Colwood Pros. Replaceable tips are very easy to switch out. They sell both fixed and replaceable tip styled handsets. The handsets are lightweight and remind me of a pencil. The standard cork grip is very insulating. Replacement grips are available. You can make your own custom tips. Handsets and nibs come with a 90-day warranty. The cons. The pin tip metal isn't as good as it used to be. The tip options, like bending, are too expensive. The handsets are not compatible with other brands of pin tips, and some styles of pin tips are extremely expensive. Goodcrafter finished with a score of 52, so it tied with Burnmaster for last place. This is mostly because it does not remind me of a pencil. The foam-covered handset is very comfortable. I never experienced any heat issues with the handset, and I have used it at its upper level of heat range. When I did one of the test burns on maple, I was getting close to Goodcrafter's upper temperature limit. I'm not sure how well it would handle burning on materials that require a higher heat than maple. The burner can be purchased for around $100 on Amazon. It comes with a lot of stuff. A set of 20 wire tips is one example. It is the best value of all the brands in this video. I think the Goodcrafter is a great burner and handset for someone first getting into pyrography or someone who wants to upgrade from a craft burner as cheaply as possible. The large circumference handsets and the softer grip would be great for anyone who is having gripping issues. Goodcrafter Pros. The foam-covered handset is very comfortable. The handset never gets hot feeling. Replacement tips are very cheap. The handset is compatible with Razertip replacement style nibs. The handsets are the lowest priced of all the brands. You can make your own custom tips. The handsets and nibs have a 30-day warranty. At least I think they do. The cons. The handset has the shortest grippable area. I was near the upper temperature limit when burning on maple. I had to fix several of their pin tips because they were very rough. They do not sell a fixed tip style of handset. Optima ended up with a total score of 40 points, putting it in third place. Of all the handsets I tested, the Optima had the highest quality metal on their pin tips. I just loved how smoothly the tip glided over the board surface. As much as I love their pin tips, I just can't find it in myself to love their handsets. The size difference between the foam grip and the handset really bothers me. I also dislike how quickly the handset gets very noticeably warm when burning on medium to high heats. I only use the Optima handset when I know that I will be burning at a lower heat setting. I really wish that Optima made replaceable pin tips that were compatible with my Colwood handset. If that happened, I would be in pyrography heaven. Burners cost between $107 and $153 depending on options. They do have an international option. Optima Pros. The pin tips have the absolute best quality metal that I have tried. The tips heat up quickly. The handsets require the lowest heat setting of all I tested. You can choose to have the tips bent for no extra charge. The handsets have a 1-year limited lifetime warranty. Cons. I dislike their handsets. They are too thin compared to how thick the foam grip is. The handsets warm up very quickly when burning on medium to high heats. They do not sell a replaceable tip-styled handset. The handsets are not compatible with other brands of pin tips. Their website ordering form is awful. You cannot make your own custom pin tips. The pin tips have no warranty. Razertip ended up with a total score of 37, putting it in second place. I like the feel of their handset. It is comfortable and it remains cool to the touch even when burning on higher heats. The metal in their pin tips are very good. Not as nice as Optima, but much better than Burnmaster. What I don't like is how unbalanced the handset becomes with the adapter attached to it. Another thing I don't like is how short the lead wires are on their pin tips. It makes them the most difficult of all those I tested to exchange. Razertip also has the worst system for attaching replacement pin tips. Razertip does have a very large variety of tips and tip sizes. This could be very appealing for wood carvers. The burners cost between $120 and $540 depending on which options you choose. They do have international burners available. I think these handsets would appeal to people who have larger hands because the handsets are so long. And the variety of tips I think would appeal for those who do duck decoys and other 3D wood carvings. Razertip Pros. The handsets are compatible with inexpensive wire tips found on Amazon. Razertip has a very wide selection of tip styles and sizes. The metal quality on their pin tips is very good. They offer both fixed and replaceable tip-styled handsets. You can make your own custom tips. Handsets come with a 1-year warranty. Nibs have a 90-day warranty. The cons. The adapter adds a lot of weight, and it unbalances the handset. Pin tips with long lead wires are not very stable. They tend to flex and move. Razertip nibs have short leads. They are the hardest to work with. I dislike their setup for equipping replaceable pin tips. Where to buy? Burnmaster, Colwood, Optima, and Razertip all sell direct to consumers. Links to their websites will be in the video description. Most of the manufacturers offer a wider selection, but they very seldom, if ever, have sales or discounts on their merchandise. As far as I know, Goodcrafter is only found on Amazon, and they often have a coupon to lower the price. It's not uncommon to find other brands of burners on Amazon, but make sure you do your research. Sometimes Amazon has really good deals, but most of the time it doesn't, and I find products cheaper on other websites. One website I recommend you check out is Mountain Wood Carvers. They carry a variety of brands of burners, and they often have sales. Another website is Treeline USA. They carry a wide selection of Razertip products. Well, that is it for this video. I hope I was able to provide some useful information. On my website, Pyrography Made Easy, I have a written version of this comparison, and I will put a link to that blog in the description below. Also, my website has a lot of tutorials and free patterns that are available. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.